Lawton Swan.
Ready, set,
Just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Finally, Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Columbia. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back at it once again here, 316 Greystone Boulevard. Fast-paced and action-packed. Hurry up and no-huddle sports talk programming for you. Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands, around the world on the iHeart radio application. Download the app today. It's free. The Clemson Sports Talk app, also free. So many ways for you to be a part of this program. We like to be engaging. We like to be interactive. Text line brought to you by the Caribbean Resort and Villas over in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Text the program anytime you want, technically. It comes to my phone, 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. You can be a part of the program there. You can be a part of the program in our chat room, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Always excited to have you all here with us as we roll through towards college football season. 49 days away for the Gamecocks, 51 days away for the Tigers, and 44 days before college football kicks off in Sydney, Australia, between Cal and Hawaii. Our chat room is built into our free app, the Clemson Sports Talk app. It's also available on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. And I do want to mention to you that if you get home and you have a Roku or an Apple TV or some such device, you can also be a part of the program on YouTube, live in high definition. So many ways for you to hang out, and we thank you for that. 803-978-1832, that is the phone number. If you want to call in, give us your comments on anything going on in the world of sports. Of course, the SEC Media Days, Day 4, final day at the Winfrey Hotel, Hoover, Alabama. South Carolina head coach Will Muschamp made his way to the podium. But it was not Muschamp that ruffled the feathers of Clemson Tiger Nation today. It was former Clemson Tiger quarterback Chad Swag Kelly, who perhaps got the goat of a lot of Tiger fans out there. You guys know this about Chad Kelly. When he committed to Clemson, many of you know this, I hosted an online show, simply a podcast. And Chad Kelly was one of the first players that Clemson really recruited who maybe brought, and again, maybe swag is the right word here, but this is a guy that had a music video you might remember, or at least a rap song that came out.
Chad Kelly, number 12, swag, Under Armour, All-American, swag, Player of the Year, All-State, swag, doing it big, G5, let's get it, swag. Watch our touchdown, Chad Kelly, hit the field, it's going down.
Chad Kelly. Chad Kelly. You probably remember this. The defense ain't seeing me. A little Chad Kelly there for you, the music. But Chad Kelly kind of stirred everybody up, making comments not only about Death Valley and the real Death Valley being in Baton Rouge for the LSU, from the Bayou, the Tigers from the Bayou, the LSU Tigers. But he was also asked about being the best quarterback in the SEC. Now, if you haven't heard Chad Kelly's comments, we're going to run those for you right here on Clemson Sports Talk tonight. We want to get your thoughts on Chad Swag. Does it bother you? It's a fair question. I was over at TigerNet earlier today sniffing around, seeing what was going on, and people were like, man, when did this become Chad Kelly Net? Well, here's exactly what Kelly had to say that riled up Tiger Nation.
Excited to get down there to the real Death Valley and see how loud it is, and I'm anxious to get out there and play. The real Death Valley, yes, sir. The real Death Valley with the 100,000, yes, sir.
Chad Kelly taking a little shot at the Clemson Tigers. 803-978 1832. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a problem at all. And maybe some of you won't like that, but for me, not a big deal. Chad Kelly, he made his bed. He's got a lie in it. If he believes that he's the best quarterback in college football, if he believes that he's the best quarterback in the SEC, if he believes that LSU has the real Death Valley, that doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. I know this about Chad Kelly. He's a heck of an athlete, heck of a quarterback. Had he had the right attitude, probably would have been a good fit at Clemson. Last season threw for 4,042 yards at Ole Miss. Led the Rebels to a 10-3 record. They knocked off Alabama, which was a huge win for them. 31 touchdowns offset by 13 interceptions. Funny thing is, yesterday here on the program, we were talking about the SEC and quarterbacks, and I said to you that league didn't have a ton of great guys, and Lowell said, don't forget about Chad Kelly. And I really shouldn't credit the kid, because the one thing I can say about him is he is one of those guys who is constantly working on his craft. I don't know if that has to do with the bloodlines, the fact that he's the nephew of Jim Kelly. I don't know if that just has to do with the fact that he's very driven athletically on the field of play, being a quarterback. He's a guy who was called a gym rat by Hugh Freeze, saying that he studies more film than the coaches, which is a similarity to Clemson's Deshaun Watson. Watson does the same thing. He's I dare say, a nerd in terms of preparation for games. That's why it is so rare that you see a guy like Deshaun Watson get in a situation where he becomes unraveled. Even an interception in the national championship game didn't make him waver or back down in any way, shape, or form. And that's something that, as a fan, you can begin to feel confident in. It's one thing to have a quarterback that makes plays. It's quite another to have one that can bounce back from adversity. Chad Kelly, when asked was he the best quarterback in the SEC, said, "I'm the best quarterback in the nation." That also got the ire of Clemson Tiger fans, and not just Tiger fans, but former players. Eric McLean basically coming out on social media and saying, no. Of course, Clemson Tiger fans, too, taking a look at Deshaun Watson and the job that Watson did this past season in Clemson. You rewind the clock just a little bit with me. Just hop in the proverbial time machine.
Oh, my God. They found me. I don't know how, but they found me.
Run for it, Marty!
You go back to the offseason several years ago. You had Chad Kelly, who was coming off of a knee injury. You had Chad Kelly, who was, in my opinion, while I was on this show, and of course, you do know that tomorrow, July the 15th, our third anniversary here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, we will be having our third annual Swanee Awards on the program tomorrow. You want to be here for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And if you can't be here, catch the podcast editions. They're always available to you in iTunes. But when we came on the airwaves here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, heading into that season, 2013, I really felt, or I should say the 2014 season, I believe, I really felt at that point Deshaun Watson was going to be a backup to Chad Kelly. I really thought before that spring game in 2014 went down and Kelly lost his mind, was kicked off of the team by head coach Dabo Swinney for, I guess, what was determined as a pattern of behavior that is not consistent with the values of our program. After that 2014 spring game, and before making his way to junior college and then ultimately to Ole Miss, I thought he was going to beat out Cole Stout. I told you here on the airwaves, you can go back, you can find the audio of it. There's no way for me to avoid it. The absolute truth was, I came in here, I told you what I believed, and quite frankly, at the time, and even still, I think I was probably right on what was going to happen at the beginning of the 2014 season. Your starter game one in Athens, Georgia in 2014 was not going to be Cole Stout. It was not going to be Deshaun Watson. It was going to be Chad Kelly. However, I don't think the Clemson coaching staff, as good as Deshaun Watson probably showed that he was at practice, felt like the young man would be able to go in to an environment like the one that you see in Athens, Georgia. I don't think the coaching staff trusted Deshaun Watson just yet as a freshman. I think they would have taken Chad Kelly in there. And I'll be honest, I think most likely in that scenario, about midway through the season, Cole Stout would have been your third-string quarterback. But you'd have to believe with some of the meltdown that you saw from Chad Kelly in the spring game, the verbal confrontations with Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney, who he gave credit to today. He certainly gave credit to both of those individuals in sort of shaping his career. But as I contended then, I will contend now that Chad Kelly was going to be the starter in Athens, Georgia. Deshaun Watson was going to be his backup. Now, how does that change things in 2014 for Deshaun? How does that change things for Clemson football in 2015, potentially with a Chad Kelly at quarterback? I don't know. I don't enjoy playing the hindsight speculation game. But I do not believe heading into 2016 or even heading into 2015, after Clemson Tiger fans got to see what number 4 could do on the field, I don't know that there were any Tiger fans that would have said, you know what, I wish things had gone better with Chad Kelly. Now, if you want to be upset at Chad Kelly today, that's understandable as well, simply because I know there are some of you that are going to have issues with anybody that claims that LSU's Tiger Stadium is the real Death Valley. And in my 39 years here on earth, I will tell you that my recollection going back in the history of college football really picks up about 1986, 1987. That's about the time where Swanee's brain started figuring out that football was A, a pretty big deal, and B, I should keep up with it. Probably about 8 or 9. I followed it before then, but it wasn't a passion. It wasn't something where I had to be in front of a radio or a TV every Saturday to hear my favorite team play. It wasn't that. It was just sort of, yeah, that Flagler kid's a pretty good player. Stacy Driver seems like a pretty good running back. Little things, the big names. But then as you get older, you start to understand the nuances of the game. You start to understand the schemes. And you become an even bigger fan of the sport. I mean, that's something I think we kind of all go through in our progression of following teams, being fans, and sort of growing with your fandom. You don't just pick it up immediately. It takes time for you to sort of get there. But when I was growing up, LSU, for me, was clearly known as Death Valley. DEAF. And I don't have any issue with telling LSU fans that you aren't the real Death Valley. I don't have a problem telling Chad Swag Kelly that LSU isn't the real Death Valley. If you want to argue playing in front of 80+ thousand at Clemson and 100,000 at LSU, I can't tell you anything about that. I do know numbers. I'm pretty well set in mathematics and arithmetic.
I am too smart. I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
And I know which one is bigger, okay? Not a problem for me. I understand which one is bigger. But in my history and recollection of college football, it wasn't until probably the past 7 to 10 years where I really felt like, hey, you know what? They've kind of tried to shift gears out there at LSU, and maybe a little bit longer than that. Their basketball stadium, the Deaf Dome. And when I was growing up, their football stadium was known as Death Valley. The stadium that was known as Death Valley my entire life was Frank Howard Field Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina. 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. Chad Swag taking a couple of shots at Clemson. I'm bending there. One shot at Clemson with the Death Valley comment. If you didn't hear it and you're just joining the program, we will fire that up for you. Here's what Chad Kelly had to say about LSU's Tiger Stadium.
Excited to get down there to the real Death Valley and see how loud it is, and I'm anxious to get out there and play. The real Death Valley, yes, sir. The real Death Valley with 100,000, yes, sir.
The reporter said, did you say the real Death Valley? Yes, sir. So Chad Kelly stirring the pot, Tiger Nation.
Chad Kelly, number 12, swag, Under Armour, All-American, swag, Player of the Year, All-State, swag, doing it big, G5, let's get
I can't get enough of this song. Chad Kelly. My man Chad Kelly, stirring it up still. Clemson Tiger Nation not happy. Swanee indifferent. 803-978-1832. If you missed our interview here on the program yesterday with former Clemson Tiger basketball player, current director of basketball operations up at Charlotte, Tanner Smith, it's out on social media. It's also on our website, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. I would encourage you after this program tonight when it ends at 8 o'clock, go ahead and log in and listen to that interview with Tanner Smith as he talks about his relationship and friendship with DeMontez Stitt. Stitt, the former Clemson Tiger point guard, who surprisingly passed away 2 days ago now at the age of 27. I thought Tanner Smith was incredible. That interview, again, head over to ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Scroll down on the front page to the interview section. You'll find it there. And don't forget, you could subscribe to our interviews and our full-length podcast in iTunes or, as I suggest, the Overcast app, which is a fantastic app to listen to podcasts on your iPhone device. We're back in 3.
Stephen Shuford tosses his cap in the air during his graduation ceremony. After returning home, it's only a short time before he receives a job offer from cancer research firm Kiatech. Today, he's a dedicated cancer scientist and also a cancer survivor. Stephen works diligently in the cancer research lab thanks in part to his lottery scholarship. And it's all because people like you play the South Carolina Education Lottery. The impact of an education is beyond words.
Race. Are we so different? This summer, the South Carolina State Museum will ask you to open your mind and explore the concept of race and how it affects us from the biological, cultural, and historical points of view. An unprecedented look at race and racism. Visit scmuseum.org.
Calling all brides. You've got the ring. Now what? Plan your dream wedding at the Carolina Bridal Showcase, Sunday, July 17th. Find everything for your wedding under one roof in just one afternoon. The best wedding pros, food, drinks, fun, selfie stations, prizes, and giveaways, and so much more. Sponsored by Carolina Bride Magazine, American Floral, Hilton Columbia Center, Columbia Bridal Associates, Costco Productions, and iHeart Media. Tickets on sale now at bridecityshows.com. That's bridecityshows.com.
Need custom shirts, hats, or uniforms? How about promotional giveaways for your business or organization? Need fast turnaround times? Look no further than Meridian Printing and Promotions. Located in Lexington, they provide an in-house art department, in-house screen printing, and in-house embroidery services to the Midlands and beyond. For the absolute best quality products and services, contact Meridian Printing and Promotions, 785-4990. Check them out online, mbspromo.com.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
Going down to meet my little Bobby Socks. Shove a big nickel in the music box. Splash for a while in my Bermuda shorts. And then I'm gonna order us a mellow malt. I'm gonna nip every day.
Beach music hits here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 until August. Just a couple of more weeks. Incredibly, that will have been 8 weeks of beach music hits here for you during the summer, making it move towards the college football season. A little nip-sip for you there. One of my new favorites when it comes down to beach music hits. My dad tells me I got to play the Shaggin' Man. He gets on me all the time. He's like, Swanee, son, Shaggin' Man. Hadn't heard the Shaggin' Man. You got to play the Shaggin' Man. If you met my dad today and he's got his iPhone with him and a Bluetooth speaker, he's probably going to play the Shaggin' Man for you. Just being honest. 803-978-1832. Chat room, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Text line brought to you by the Caribbean Resort and Villas over in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. If you want to react to Chad Kelly, feel free. Of course, if you haven't heard, Chad Kelly was asked if he was the best quarterback in the SEC. He said, I'm the best quarterback in the nation. He was asked about playing down at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge against the LSU Tigers. He said, you mean the real Death Valley? Hashtag shots fired. 803-978-1832. Chad Kelly became the first quarterback to lead Ole Miss to victories over Alabama, Auburn, and LSU in the same season. Last year, he had, again, over 4,000 yards passing, a total yardage clip of 4,542, the third most in a season in the history of the SEC. So that's Chad Swag Kelly. If you've been a part of the program this entire week, you know we've been running through every couple of days here. Well, we did Monday, Tuesday. We did the first quarter on Monday, the second quarter on Tuesday. And now we're going to take a look at the third quarter from the national championship game. I know a lot of you out there can't stomach watching the national championship game. I understand. Even in this role as a sports talk radio show host, but still a graduate of Clemson University, actually firing up that game again and putting myself through the pain, you might say, of watching that, I didn't pull it off until this week. It's just something I haven't been able to do. Through the first two quarters, though, if you go back and watch the game, I think you're going to feel pretty good about things. And I will tell you, even at the conclusion of this third quarter kind of recap, you're still going to feel pretty good about things. Again, to start the third quarter of action, the tie ball game, 14-14, Alabama kicks off to Clemson. The Tigers on the kick return fake a reverse. Artavis Scott's got the ball. Fakes a little reverse. He cuts the ball back to the inside. If he bounces it outside there, Clemson's got some big numbers. Now, I don't know if he could return it. It's amazing when you have replay and non-field vision, how you can see things that perhaps the players can't see, and the numbers were well in Clemson's favor to the outside there. Clemson on that drive goes 3 and out. They had a 3rd and 3. Watson nearly threw an interception. It looked like a little miscommunication. Tigers' first drive, second half, did nothing. Really one of the few drives in the game where Clemson wasn't productive at all. Alabama started with good field position on their first drive at the 36. They had a big 2nd and 6. Kenyon Drake was surrounded by about 5 Tigers. And I got to tell you, this was not a good look for B.J. Goodson, not a good look if you're going to be critical of the safeties. This is probably a play where you could be critical of J-Ron Curse again, because you've got Kenyon Drake in trouble. You're going to force a long 3rd and 6. Drake bounces the ball to the outside, makes several guys miss, picks up a big first down. Next plays with 13:03 left. That's your busted coverage, O.J. Howard to the house for a touchdown. That was Howard's first touchdown of the season, not his first touchdown that he would have. I guess I shouldn't say not his only touchdown that he would have in this game. But there you go, a play that sort of results in a first down. Maybe that changes the play call scheme for Alabama. They go with Howard there. Do they go with Howard on the 3rd and 6? I don't know. Busted coverage in the stack. Clemson didn't have anybody over. 2 plays back-to-back on the safeties. This one on T.J. Green. And all of a sudden, Alabama's up 21-14 early in the 3rd quarter. Clemson gets the ball, the second drive for them. They take it at the 25 off of a touchback. Scott with a 9-yard run. Gallman picks up a big first down. You got a 2nd and 10. You hit Zach Brooks on the screen for 20 yards. Here comes that tempo again. Clemson's at the Alabama 40. They take a deep shot to Renfro. Fitzpatrick can't guard Renfro again. Pass interference. Tigers at the 20. This drive is one of those prototypical drives that you saw from Clemson all game against Alabama. And I guarantee you, if you ask an Alabama fan today, Roll Tide Nation, if you're listening, I got a feeling you didn't see too many teams, if any at all, going up against your defense, moving the ball as quickly up and down the field as Clemson was. 2nd and 9, Watson tries to thread the needle to the end zone, almost throws another interception. So a couple of times already in the second half, Watson being a little bit loose with the ball. 3rd and 9, though, he hits Scott in the hands in the back of the end zone, and credit Harrison, the DB for Alabama, because he gets his hand in at the last second. He almost just flips his wrist to rip the ball out as Artavis Scott's hitting the ground. Tigers get a field goal. Kickoff to Alabama, down 21-17. First play, you had a dodge sack for 7-yard loss. There was a hold on the play that was declined. I mean, Clemson's feeling the momentum there. Henry with a short gain. You got a 3rd and 15. Another short gain with a hold. 4th and 11 with 8:46 left. You're halfway through the 3rd quarter, down 4. You're getting the ball back. Nice return by Artavis Scott. You got the ball at the 40, nearly midfield. Down 4. That offense had just clicked right down the field against Alabama. Clemson's 3rd drive of the second half, Watson with a zone read for 20. It just one of those plays, if you're a defensive coordinator, you're pulling your hair out. You're pulling your hair out. Next play, Watson gets obliterated in the pocket. This is one of the plays I was alluding to yesterday when I talked about my smidgen of concern about Deshaun Watson. He delivers a strike to Leggett for 11 yards. The Tigers are at the 29-yard line. Watson to Renfro in the end zone. He almost catches it. A 2nd and 10. The Tigers get a false start. Watson on the next play, pump fake, slips out of pressure, gains 15 yards. Everybody's in coverage. Tigers at the 18-yard line. And then Clemson does what nobody had done to Alabama all year. They punch the ball into the end zone on the ground. Smash mouth. You hit a swing pass to Gallman for 9. You're at the 6-yard line. 1st and goal. Watson on the edge for 2. 2nd, Gallman no gain. 3rd down and goal. Gallman scores only the 6th rushing touchdown of the year against Alabama. Clemson up 24-21 with 4:48 left in the 3rd quarter. And you're feeling good. You've had 2 drives back-to-back right down the field on Alabama. And now you can see where the concern for Nick Saban came in kicking an onside kick. He was honest when he said he didn't want to put the ball back into Deshaun Watson's hands. Alabama's 3rd drive after Clemson's touchdown to take the lead. Drake returns it to the 18. On first down, they get a short gain. Second down, they hit O.J. Howard, just kind of a preview of what was to come for 15 yards. On that first down, Henry gets nothing. Second down's an incomplete. 3rd and 9. 7th time in the game at that point. Alabama had been in 3rd and 9 or longer. They'd only converted one of those the entire game. There's an incomplete pass that was low, broken up by Travis Blanks. 4th and 9, they punt to Clemson. The Tigers take over near midfield at, I believe, the 38-yard line. You run an option to McLeod for 3. Watson missed Renfro in the flats. His defender had fallen down. That drive continues to look like one that's going to pay off pretty well for Clemson until Watson gets sacked for a big loss. A 4th and 19. Clemson has a great punt. Alabama takes over at the 5-yard line with 43 seconds remaining in the third. And Alabama runs a couple of plays to round out the clock. 24-21. Clemson and Alabama as we head to the fourth quarter. We're back in 3 here on Fox Sports Radio.
When a stroke happens, every second counts. So don't drive and call 911 to get to the emergency department as soon as possible. At Lexington Medical Center, we're pleased to serve our community. As a certified primary stroke center, our acute stroke team rapidly evaluates patients and provides them with the fastest treatment possible. This specialized care limits the chance of brain damage and gives stroke patients a better chance of full recovery. Act quickly at the first sign of a stroke and count on the Stroke Center at Lexington Medical Center to provide you with the best possible care.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Our customers receive the best heating and air conditioning service in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Tim Mosley, and I can make that statement because that's what our customers tell us every day. We call it quality confirmed. Call us at 803-233-7172, and we'll call you when the job is done to confirm we met your expectations. That's quality confirmed. We're Carolina Conditions, and we're committed to meeting your expectations. 803-233-7172. Call us at 803-233-7172.
Hold everything for less. The Pack Store Save event is going on now at the Home Depot, and the shelves are full of smart storage solutions, like an HDX 5-shelf storage unit, a special buy at just $29.97. Save $9. It'll hold up to 750 pounds of whatever you've got, and you'll barely have to lift your wallet. Come get organized at the Pack Store Save event, going on now, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through July 20th, U.S. only.
Love it raw? For the freshest sushi in town, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, 807 Gervais Street in the Vista. Sakatumi's flavorful grill for non-sushi fans features the Kobe burger, filet and lobster, chicken hibachi, and more. Fresh sushi, flavorful grill, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, sakifresh.com.
Tonight, the skies clear out. The temperatures don't fall very far, though. Mid-70s and sticky. Tomorrow, sunny, hot. Highs around 100 degrees. And again, late in the day, we will see a few scattered storms. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farr.
This report is brought to you by Midland Air Service Experts.
Don't let the summer heat sneak up on your old air conditioner and leave you sweltering. Call Midland Air Service Experts and save up to $2,200 on a new Lennox home comfort system. Or make payments as low as $99 a month with approved credit. Call 866-EXPERTS or visit midlandair.com.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
Yeah, you know the nighttime is the right time for Clemson Sports Talk here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Also on the iHeart Radio app, 803-978-1832. Again, tomorrow, the third annual Swanee Awards, and we will be breaking down the fourth quarter of action. Incredibly, 24-21. As you head to the fourth quarter, Alabama's going to score 24 in the fourth. Clemson's going to score 21. These two teams in three quarters combined for 45 points. They're going to put up 45 in the fourth quarter. Just nuts. And again, as you kind of go back here and take a look at it, I want to again make this point about that third quarter of action. Clemson became the dominant team in that game in the third quarter. They had been pretty dominant offensively, again, which is why the decision was made by Nick Saban to take a chance on an onside kick in the national championship game. If you go back, Alabama's first drive in that third quarter, where you have the busted coverage that leaves O.J. Howard open for the long touchdown, that's the only drive where they did anything significant. Again, their second drive of the third quarter, first play, sack. Second play, short gain. It was a 3rd and 15. Then you had another short gain and a hold on that play and a punt. 3 plays by Alabama's offense, nothing. Clemson goes right down the field, gets a field goal. Again, next possession for Alabama, down 3. They get a short gain. They hit Howard for 15, one of their second-best plays of that quarter. I think the second-best play of that quarter for him. Henry gets nothing, an incomplete pass. 3rd and 9, another incomplete pass. And then they were beginning that next drive, their final drive, the fourth drive of that quarter. Henry for 5, Henry for 1. It's 3rd down and 4, heading to the fourth, down by 3. They had done nothing outside of the busted coverage by Clemson. There is no question at that point, Nick Saban, who is a master defensive coordinator, I am not going to deny that to you at all. They did not have an answer to the question, how do you stop Deshaun Watson? I'll take that for 500, Alex. Caller, welcome into the program. Thanks for holding.
What's going on, Clem Swan?
Man, I'm doing it. How are you?
I'm good. Let me talk a little Gamecock football before you hang up on me.
No, listen, I got that coming up. I'm absolutely going to be talking about the Gamecocks. What's up with you?
I'll start with the Clemson stuff.
Yeah.
Going back on this third quarter and hearing you talk about it with all the ifs and buts and the whatnots.
Yeah.
Don't you think it was a little premature of them getting rid of Kelly? I mean, what, Kelly's 2-0 against Alabama and Watson's 0-1. 0-1. If they had just held in there and babied him a little bit and coddled him a little bit, you know, he could have been the starting quarterback. Y'all could have had a national championship this year. But you ran him out of town.
What were we thinking?
You went ahead and kid that wasn't quite ready. I mean, if he you know, that's how I look at it.
I'll put that one on Dabo.
Yeah, well, it's all on Dabo. Dabo's the head coach.
Yeah.
He's a HBC, right?
I think, well, don't tell Steve that. Don't tell Spurrier that.
Hey, now moving on to the Gamecocks.
Sure.
I'm a little bit too heavy to go out on that same limb with Cockett.
Oh, boy.
Predict the South Carolina victory
Yeah.
over Clemson in July. But I will address the Vanderbilt opening game.
Okay.
So, Mr. Webb, the running back.
Yes. Who guaranteed a victory, right?
Guaranteed a victory. Well, now I'm going to break it out right now. When the cock-a-doodle-boom defense gets finished with him,
yeah,
he's going to be referred to as Charlotte's Webb.
Charlotte's Webb. I hear you, man. Hey, thanks for the phone call. Appreciate you peeking over the fence. Yeah, talking about the SEC Media Days today, the final day down there. Will Muschamp did speak. I had a chance to see some of what he had to say again for Gamecock Nation just 49 days away. The members of the media, though, selected Alabama to win the SEC title this coming season, and it really wasn't close. Not a whole lot of, belief in some of the other teams there in the SEC. Alabama seemingly the favorite. Tennessee picked to be the favorite in the East. The biggest surprise for me overall was not even necessarily that South Carolina ended up being picked last in the SEC Eastern Division. Vanderbilt above Missouri in the East. So the bottom three in the East, according to the members of the media, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and then South Carolina. But the Gamecocks, I believe, actually received, yeah, they did. They received a first-place vote, and for some reason the notes that I had for that do not show up here, the image that I had hoped to be there. I may have accidentally deleted it, but nonetheless, I believe the Gamecocks did pick up one first-place vote in the SEC media poll today. I don't know who voted the Gamecocks number one. I'm not saying they couldn't do it. I tell you what, it's clear Will Muschamp has come in and said, hey, you know what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to compete in the East this year. See if I can find the SEC media vote real quick. I had it earlier. I apologize for not having it right here on hand. I thought I had saved it. But, yeah, South Carolina was picked by at least one reporter as winning the East. All right, here we go. SEC media predicts the order of finish. Alabama received 246 first-place votes. Second in the West was LSU with 76. I guess these are total votes. No, those are first place. Yeah, South Carolina had 2. I thought so. Vanderbilt, surprisingly, also had 2. Order of projected finish in the SEC East, according to the media: Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Missouri, South Carolina. In the West, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, A&M, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State. The SEC champion, according to the votes, Alabama. So Alabama, the team that most people think will win the SEC championship this year. Again, the ACC kickoff begins not this coming week, but the following week, the 21st and 22nd of July. So that is 1 week from today. 1 week from today, technically. Man, the weeks are running together here for me. 803-978-1832, the hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. But yeah, Gamecocks selected by 2 individuals to win the SEC East. Every team in the East received a first-place vote except for Kentucky and Missouri. Tennessee with 225 votes to win the East. Alabama with 246 votes to win the West. So a little brief look there at the SEC media's prediction of the order of finish of the conference. They've got Alabama and Tennessee, rivals, on top. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Radio 1400, also on the iHeart Radio app.
The new downtown YMCA is now open at the corner of Bull and Hampton Streets. The state-of-the-art facility will feature a functional training space, a yoga studio, popular group exercise classes, brand new cardio and strength equipment, programs for seniors, youth and adult sport leagues, steam and sauna, towel service, access to all YMCA of Columbia locations, and more. Join by August 31st and save $50 with no joining fee. For more information, stop by the new downtown Y, 1447 Hampton Street, or visit ColumbiaYMCA.org.
Lawton Swan here, and I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg.
You want a pharmacy that treats you like a person and not just a number. Let Greg and South Lake Drug show you what a pharmacy should be. Fast, friendly, and professional. South Lake Drug distributes and take the hassle out of your medicine and getting you on your way. South Lake takes all major insurance programs and Medicare, and state employees, and they provide immunization services, including flu shots, weight appointment. South Lake Drug, 1856 South Lake Drive, drive-line shopping center, 399-7701, or southlakedrug.com.
Stay on top of today's pop culture. Ace and TJ Mornings and today's hit music all day on 104.7 WNOK.
Clemson Sports Talk, Lawton Swan, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Also on the iHeart Radio application. It is free to download. The Clemson Sports Talk app is also free. And entering the fracas here on Clemson Sports Talk, talking a little bit about Chad Kelly, is none other than executive producer Rob Sanders. Rob, I got to apologize to you first and foremost, though, brother. Do not have the camera set up, man. So the
all right.
yeah, so the ladies out there watching on YouTube,
I know, right?
the ratings are probably not going to have the peak that we saw when you joined us a couple of days ago. I believe that was 2 days ago you joined us.
Yeah, I know.
When I went to your camera, I saw a spike in the numbers.
Like,
from,
who is that fool, right?
Yeah, no, it was, I believe YouTube said it was females ages 18 to 30 who had tuned in.
I highly doubt that.
No, this was, I'm sure this is some sort of honest statistical data they're giving me, right?
Well, according to my Days Sense app, I know you're an app guy.
I am an app guy.
This is my new favorite app.
Okay, you've got an app called Days Sense?
Yeah, Days Sense. It has been, I have been married 4,352 days.
Doesn't feel a day past 40 years, does it?
Doesn't feel a day past 3,604.
I heard that. All right, yeah.
Well,
wow.
I came in because we were talking about this in show prep today, with the whole thing with Chad Kelly.
Sure.
It's frustrating to me. He's going to go and run his mouth. First of all, I don't know what they're doing down at Ole Miss. I'm a chunky guy, so I can say this.
Yeah.
He looks like he's ate about 18 dozen donuts. The guy, he's like flowing out of his suit.
Okay.
Okay, let's
Maybe
give
it's
him
a
that
small
first.
suit. Could it be
All
a
right,
small
we
suit?
can go with that too.
Okay.
But Mr. Kelly, you got beat out by a freshman at Clemson, sir. That's what happened to you. All right? You were third string. Then you got upset and you started crying. And you started crying and getting in trouble so you could get your way out when you went to junior college.
Yeah, well, you see, I have a problem because I stood in this very studio.
Oh, you're a Chad Kelly guy.
In 2014 and made the statement that Chad Kelly was going to be the starter heading into Athens.
I remember that, and I remember laughing at you.
I still think I was right.
Well, you were wrong.
Well,
it's okay, though.
Well, I didn't know he was going to get kicked off the team. That kind of hurt his chances. But
okay, so you're saying if he didn't get kicked off the team,
yeah,
then he would have been the starter.
Yes.
Where is Lowell the intern to back me up on this?
Here's the thing, though. If Cole Stout was the starter in Athens, Georgia, why wouldn't you believe that Chad Kelly would have been the starter in Athens, Georgia?
Because, well, a couple of things were in that mix. Remember Deshaun Watson got hurt in spring ball? That had a little bit to do with it. That's the main reason why Stout was the starter going into Georgia. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, he had the collarbone issue, yes.
Okay, well, there you go. That's why.
But if Cole Stout was the starter going into Athens, you don't agree that had Chad Kelly stayed, he was better than Cole Stout?
I'm just saying, from my perspective, he was third string. You were third string, sir.
Well.
And this whole thing about the whole Death Valley thing.
Yeah.
That's just salt. He is just a salty, salty guy. I'm talking like Dead Sea salt.
Well, and that's exactly what the real Payzant said on Twitter. He said, man, I was just diagnosed with high blood pressure due to all the salt this dude is packing.
Exactly. He's got his own Morton's umbrella. That's what he's got. Anything he can do to jab or whatever, because here's another thing, Chad Kelly, I'm sure you can hear me. Maybe I should yell so you can hear me in Mississippi.
Right.
Okay? He says these things because he's not going to have to play against Clemson. That's not going to happen. He's going to end up at, some third-level bowl? He's not going to get a chance to play against the Tigers. So, of course, he's going to run his mouth. He can poke the bear when the bear can't get him out of the cage. That's the whole thing with him, man.
Barrett Hall, who's the creator of the Wave app on social media, says to us, by the way, that's WAVVE, he says, Chad Kelly could always come back and sit the bench at the other Death Valley. Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm sure you are a great scout team quarterback. That's fine. We need a good player to help out our defense.
Right,
That's
we
cool.
need somebody that we can put in there to simulate some of the opposing quarterbacks.
Right. You're not even the best quarterback in your conference, Chad Kelly.
Jason Payne, he's at Jason0068, says, just happy that we have the real quarterback in the real Death Valley. That comes to us as well via social media tonight. Again, I want to invite you to get up with the Wave app so you can interact with us using your voice.
Very cool app.
Yeah, it's a really neat way for people to be a part of the program. Bill Garrison just simply says, gone. That's his thoughts on Chad Kelly at Clemson. So you're kind of, I mean, this is a topic for you as a sports fan.
Oh, yeah. I first of all, I love media days for the
Yeah.
SEC. There's a couple, the three things I took from actually four things I took from media days. Nick Saban does not care who you are. He will slap his mama to get his point across. I mean, he's made that perfectly clear.
Sure.
This Vanderbilt running back, he has got a set of grapefruits, sir. He just basically came out and said Vanderbilt, which, I mean, their football program is essentially a club sport. They don't really have an athletic program there. Everybody plays club sports, okay? He's saying that we're going to beat South Carolina. If I'm a Gamecock fan, I'm like, oh, really? I mean, you know, we're like 19-4 against you, Vanderbilt. Okay. I mean, so I took that from media days, and I'm sure you talked about this too. Who in the media voted for South Carolina to win the East?
I mean, I'm not. Well, look, I mean,
did Lowell the intern get a vote?
I think everybody gets a vote.
Okay.
So Lowell's possible.
Lowell's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
Was it positive, Mike, in the chat room? He may have gotten a vote.
Yeah, he's very positive about South Carolina.
He certainly is, because I'm trying
season.
to figure out who voted, because they had two people vote for them to win the East, and one person said the University of South Carolina, with their new coach and maybe a freshman quarterback coming off a 3-9 season, is going to win the SEC.
Yeah, you got one person that did pick them to win the SEC.
Well, I mean, I've got to drink some of that Kool-Aid, because
does Speedy have a vote?
Speedy may have a vote. Did Speedy vote for that? He might have. That's just tough for me to figure out. I mean,
may
if
have been Speedy.
If you look at the Gamecocks, I mean, I think most the realistic Gamecock fans, if they go 4-4 in SEC play, I think they may build a statue for Muschamp outside.
Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, I think it's gonna be a rough season for the Gamecocks, but Muschamp seems confident in his ball club. Out to Twitter again at SC Tootin Shannon joining the show. She says LSU is Death Valley, but those Cajuns don't understand basic English. We also had John chime in. He's at John J.O. McCall on Twitter. He says he was the backup then, if I remember correctly, talking about Chad, Swag, Kelly, and finally, Book chiming in. He's at J Sull, that's SULLHART. He says, Swanee, I'm a loyal listener of Clemson Sports Talk, but I can't take the national quarter-by-quarter review. That wound hasn't healed yet. And he gives us this cute little girl.
Oh, you got to show that to the
She's
YouTube
crying,
folks.
yeah.
They'll love that.
This little girl, she's got her hand on her heart, and she's just kind of sad about the whole thing.
That was a tough game to watch.
Listen, it's good. The first three quarters are good. I'm feeling great. It's 24-21 heading to the fourth quarter.
There are 4 quarters in a football game, sir.
Yeah.
Hate to break that down to you.
Yeah.
Are you ready for ACC Media Days? That's coming up.
Am I ready? Yeah, you tried to send me.
I have no clue. Hopefully Erica Swan's not listening, because Erica Swan scares me. But how can you possibly not go to ACC Media Days?
Well, there's a couple of factors here, and one is somehow, there's the rule in the fall, right? You don't get married on a football game weekend, right?
The best day to get married is the week of July 4th.
Okay.
It's perfect.
I just happened to get married July 22nd.
Okay, well.
Which just seemingly happens to be, conveniently, every year, ACC Media Days.
Maybe we should dress up Lowell the intern and send him in the hat.
Shave his head.
Yeah, we'll shave his head and paint a tiger
Hi,
on it.
I'm Lawton Swan. I'm
be
here.
great.
I'm here for the interviews. Rob, what you got going on? I know we got another day, but what you got going on this weekend? Anything big, man?
Oh man, I may go play basketball on Saturday at the undisclosed location is what
Absolutely.
you call it.
Yeah, the undisclosed locale.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I want to throw that out to the listeners, because I know we just had a spot here running about the new YMCA that just opened up, because I know you are a veteran of the old YMCA courts, and there's no basketball court in the new YMCA. I'd like to hear from our listeners, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line, where are the places to play a little midday basketball now in Columbia? Where's the place to go to play some hoops at noon? I'm still trying to get in on some of that. Tutu, I just saw him from 100.1 The Beat, Tutu claims he's trying to touch the glass with 2 hands again.
Tutu's full of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, Tutu, come on, my man. Just touching the glass. How about the rim, boss?
Yeah, man.
How about the rim? All right, Rob Sanders. Follow that man on Twitter at RobSoundsGood. Appreciate you joining me, brother.
All right, man.
Clemson Sports Talk, top of the hour break. We'll be back at 7:01. Hang with us.
Tiger fans, look no further than the Tiger Sports Shop in Clemson for all your game day gear. Since 1974, they've brought you everything Clemson for the Clemson fan. With quality brand names such as Nike, Under Armour, Antigua, Ping, and many more. From hats to t-shirts to tailgate, the Tiger Sports Shop has all the Clemson apparel a true Tiger fan needs. With 2 convenient game day locations in Tigertown, shop where I shop at I Am Ibrahim's Tiger Sports Shop. They fuel the passion of Tiger fans everywhere. Check them out online, tigersports.com. Hey guys, Lawton Swan here. I was hanging out in the backyard with my son Mason the other day, and he said, "Dad, you're the best father ever." I was like, "What makes you say that, son?" He said, "When I go outside to play now, I don't get eaten up by the bugs anymore." Imagine that, me, a hero, when all I did was just a couple of weeks ago call Trey Powell at Mosquito Joe with their routine service plan. No more bugs and no more bites. Make yourself the family hero. Call Mosquito Joe today, 803-223-7916. Outside is fun again.
We invite you to come visit the Caribbean Resort along the shores of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Gaze upon breathtaking views of the Atlantic Ocean from one of the Caribbean Resort's exquisite accommodations. With an array of sizes and layouts to choose from, and designed with all the comforts of home, guests can bask in the sun on our expansive oceanfront pool deck, take a dip in any of our indoor and outdoor water amenities, and race down our oceanfront water slide. The Caribbean Resort has everything you need, so book your next vacation today.
Here's the thing about baseball.
There is nothing better than spring training out in Arizona.
It sometimes goes on during the day.
Inconvenient.
And here's the thing about my employer. They expect me to work during the day.
Lame.
With iHeartRadio.com, I'm able to keep up with my favorite teams and my favorite station right at work. Not to mention music, all free. Listen online at iHeartRadio.com or using our iHeartRadio app.
The app is especially useful if work blocks access to iHeartRadio.com.
How dare they?
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1970.
Chicago breaks through with their second album, generating 3 top 10 singles: Color My World, 25 or 624, and Make Me Smile. And Simon & Garfunkel released the album Bridge Over Troubled Water. It would win the Grammy for Album of the Year. The single of the same name would also hit number 1. In February of 1970, Paul McCartney files a petition with the court to dissolve the Beatles partnership. James Taylor leaves Apple Records and releases the album Sweet Baby James on Warner Brothers. He has a number 3 single with Fire and Rain and receives major publicity as a leader in the wave of new, more mellow singer-songwriters of the time. The Doors get back to the blues with the album Morrison Hotel, which climbs to number 4 on the album charts. In March, Crosby, Stills, and Nash add Neil Young to their lineup and have a number 1 album with Deja Vu, which includes 3 top 40 singles. And New York hard rockers Mountain released their debut Climbing with the single Mississippi Queen.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1970. Coming up.
From the TrueCar.com studios, the new way to buy a car. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia. Available anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio.
Fox Sports trending now.
Baseball's All-Star break continuing. They'll get back to action tomorrow, but some teams already doing some work, including the Boston Red Sox. Multiple reports say the Red Sox have acquired All-Star pitcher Drew Pomeranz from the San Diego Padres. Baseball will get games going tomorrow, starting the second half of the Major League Baseball season. One other note to pass along, this from NASCAR. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is not going to race in Sunday Spring Cup race in New Hampshire because of a concussion. Hendrick Motorsports says there's no timetable for Earnhardt's return after suffering the concussion earlier this month in Daytona. The Vertical says that Manu Ginobili will get a one-year deal worth $14 million to play for the Spurs. Raymond Felton's going to sign with the Clippers, according to reports. Well, today at the Open Championship, Phil Mickelson, an 8-under par 63, gives him a 3-shot lead over Martin Kaymer and Patrick Reed. He broke the course record today at Troon. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set, just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
It is hour number 2. That's prime time right here on Fox Sports Radio, iHeart Radio, 720p on YouTube as well. If you're watching the program, thank you for hanging out with us. All the numbers that you could need just below me on the screen. The phone line, 803-978-1832. The text line, 803-450-0086. The hashtag CST Show. At Clemson Sports on Twitter. All the information about where you can watch it, when you can watch it, how you can listen, right here below me. ClemsonSportsTalk.com, live 6 to 8 p.m. on the iHeart Radio app. But most importantly for you, you can be a part of this program via the podcast editions. That means listen when you want, where you want, how you want. You want to get paid to listen to the podcast at work. How genius is that? You listen at work. The boss pays you to listen to the Hurry Up No Huddle Sports Talk Express. 803-978-1832. Again, your number. Talking a lot of Chad Kelly tonight. Executive producer Rob Sanders stopped by for a segment on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. In our chat room, they want to know which is bigger, Chad Kelly's head or his mouth. I still can't believe that people don't recognize the fact that Chad Kelly would have been the starter in Athens, Georgia in 2014. I don't think there's a question at all that Chad Kelly would have been the starter in Athens, Georgia. And again, I guess it's a mathematical principle of sorts. But if Cole Stout was better than Deshaun Watson in the minds of the coaching staff heading into Athens, wouldn't Chad Kelly certainly have been better in the minds of the coaching staff than Cole Stout? I should probably remember if that's the transitive, commutative, or whatever property. I don't. It's one of those things, I guess when I was learning it, I was like, well, I'll file that under never. I don't know when I'll use it. But the point being, if A is greater than B, then B is greater than C, then A is greater than C, right? So if Cole Stout was better than Deshaun Watson heading into the 2014 game to open the season in Athens, Georgia, in my pea brain, that means that Chad Swag Kelly would have been the starter. That's just me. You either believe that or you believe Chad Kelly was going to be the third-string quarterback, which I do not believe. But it all worked out for Clemson, nonetheless. Tomorrow night, join us here. It is the 3rd annual Swanee Awards. Again, our yearly anniversary celebration. I'm sure there will be some looks back. We may even look back to the first annual Swanee Awards. No Lowell, the intern. Tomorrow, he's going to be out of town, so we will not have Lowell here, although I know he was excited about the Swanee Awards, but we will do it nonetheless without him. Via the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line, Ben Zero, a podcast listener, says, Swanee, man, you got to turn down the levels on that whistle beginning your podcast, bro. He says, I swear you're going to give me a heart attack and blow out my ears. Sorry about that, Ben Zero. He also goes on to say that his gym sessions felt a lot longer last week without us. Well, we will be here with you, as you know. We don't take a whole lot of time off here on Fox Sports Radio 1400 for this show. We typically do the 4th of July, then we'll do a week at Christmas and maybe a sporadic day here or there, hoping we don't have to do too many sporadic days, though, anymore, as Lowell, the intern, and Mike Vaughn did such a good job filling in for me a couple of weeks back when I made my way up to Athens, Georgia, for my nephew's law school graduation, that maybe, just maybe, those days and weeks where I'm off, I can get those two guys to come in and fill in, and you'll still get some Clemson sports talk. And I do want to tell you, if this is your first time tuning in and you think, man, you know what, I just don't know if I can deal with the Clemson conversation for 2 straight hours. It's not always about Clemson. The naming lights on the marquee, clearly orange and purple, but the conversations in this room, we talk about everything going on. We try to focus on Clemson, but we're happy to divert and talk about whatever you want to get into here as well. Old School Tiger also coming through the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line. That number, if you want to text us, 803-450-0086. He says, Swanee, I got to believe with our offense that God forbid Deshaun Watson gets hurt, we could still get 10 wins with Kelly Bryant at quarterback. You know, there were flashes last year with Kelly Bryant with the ball in his hand, rushing the football, where I felt pretty comfortable that, much like a Tim Tebow was used in his freshman year at Florida as sort of the third down, extra hat in the box option, that a guy like Kelly Bryant could certainly become that for Clemson last year, and maybe even more so perhaps used in that role this season to perhaps protect Deshaun Watson to some degree. But when I look at that schedule and I take Deshaun Watson out of it, I don't know that I see 10 wins, in all honesty, unless we're counting a bowl trip. Because I think you could get to 9. I think you go ahead and nod your head that you're going to beat Troy and South Carolina State, even if I was the quarterback. Georgia Tech, again, never easy for Clemson when you're talking about heading into Atlanta, GA for a football game. September the 22nd at Georgia Tech. But I still think even without Deshaun Watson, you're a lot better than the Yellow Jackets. So that's 3. I think Louisville, although it's at home, still becomes one that you have to sort of wonder about a little bit. Boston College, they've had great defenses as of late. Their offenses have been equally as poor. You would believe that there's enough talent there, I think, to beat them as well. NC State becomes a big red flag. Florida State, certainly a red flag. I think you could beat Syracuse, Pitt, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. So getting to 10 without Watson would be tough, in my opinion. Auburn, I don't believe they're a great team, okay? But I don't know how you handle that environment without a Watson. And I know there's talent spread all over the field. Our good friends over at Seldom Used Reserve took a look at the recruiting classes of the past 5 years. If you don't know about Seldom Used Reserve, you need to check them out because they do a fantastic job and really go into detail breaking down recruiting classes. And they did a 4-year look, a 4-year analysis on Clemson, Florida State, Georgia, Louisville, and South Carolina. Basically what they deemed to be, Marty Coleman deemed to be, rivals of Clemson. And from 2013 to 2016, Clemson averaged, according to, I believe he used the composite ratings from 247, averaged 13th in the country with 5 5-stars, 41 4-stars, and 43 stars. They also had 3 guys that were either 2 stars or not rated. By comparison, Florida State had 9 5-stars to Clemson's 5, 49 4-stars to Clemson's 41, an average composite rating of 5. So that's one that you feel like without a Watson, you're not going to win that game for sure. And even though Auburn may not have had the same type classes as a Florida State, that's still a tough one minus Watson. So I don't know that I agree that Clemson could get to 10 wins without Deshaun and with Kelly Bryant at quarterback. But I do think it's realistic to believe that you would win Troy, SC State, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Syracuse, Pitt, Wake Forest, and South Carolina. I think you could get to 8 if you were fortunate enough that could get you to the ACC title game. Maybe you get lucky and win 9 and pick up a 10th in the bowl game. But getting to 10 in the regular season, I think you probably lose to Auburn, Louisville, and Florida State for sure. I think those almost become surefire losses. And I just don't know about NC State. I think that would be another one that would be tough for you. 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. Follow the program at Clemson Sports. That's Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And we got another message coming in via the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line. It says, Swanee, you still didn't answer the question. Chad Kelly's 2-0 versus Alabama. Do you think the outcome would have been different if he had been under center with Clemson? I don't, to be honest with you. I don't think if Chad Kelly were the quarterback at Clemson in the national championship game against Alabama that game would have been any different. I believe O-line called in earlier and made that statement or asked the question. The thing about Chad Kelly and Ole Miss, even if you go back and look at the victory that they had over Alabama this past season, Chad Kelly makes a completely terrible decision throwing the ball up, I believe, to Laquan Treadwell, that probably should have been intercepted, gets batted, and that ends up being, enough for them to win that game against Alabama. Alabama, just incredible in the fourth quarter, the way they just keep coming and keep coming. They're like a bad virus. You think you got them knocked out, they just keep coming. They always believe. And I think you saw that last year when they went toe-to-toe. I mean, in the fourth quarter, to just continue to stay in that game against Ole Miss, even as bad as they were playing, to just keep finding a way to make that ball game competitive, speaks volumes about their belief system and their character at Alabama. I'll tell you that. But I don't think that Clemson with Chad Kelly would have won that game against Alabama. I think the result probably would have been similar to what you saw had he played the whole game. But Watson, for me, is the clear-cut better of those two guys right now. And I don't have a doubt. And I think most people would certainly trust Deshaun Watson to run this Clemson Tiger offense 99 times out of 100. I don't know if it wouldn't be 100 out of 100 for most Tiger fans. Maybe there's the occasional fan that might see something else that Chad Kelly does that Deshaun Watson doesn't do as well. But I do not think that would have changed the result of the national championship if Chad Kelly, even though he's 2-0 against Alabama, were quarterbacking the Clemson Tigers in that one. And with the case of Kelly Bryant, I don't think Clemson gets to 10 wins this year if Deshaun Watson can't go. As talented as Clemson is, with Kelly Bryant at quarterback, I just don't think the Tigers could do it. 803-978-1832. We send it out to the phone lines here on the program. Caller, welcome in.
Hey, Swanee, good evening to you, my brother.
What's going on, man?
I've been taking it easy, trying to stay out of this heat, man. It's something here in Columbia.
What is going on in this town? You talk about famously hot, huh?
Yeah, man, it's really ridiculous. I don't think Chad Kelly know where he could. I'm glad he's not Clemson quarterback. He got lucky in a lot of the games I looked at on that Mississippi team. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
He was real lucky. Threw some passes, Alabama, and double coverage. The guys in Alabama was hitting each other. It's funny, I saw the Alabama-Clemson game today on the SEC Network. I looked at the whole game. And if it wasn't for that tight end getting open, I think if Alexander was in, we'd have beat them by 2 touchdowns.
I've been breaking that game down. I know, man. I broke down the third quarter today. Going into the fourth quarter, you're feeling good. You've been dominant in the third quarter, driving the ball. Alabama hadn't done anything offensively. You're up by 3. Right. I'm with you.
Yeah. It's funny. Who has the longest winning streak in the nation at home? Is it Clemson, Florida State? Do you know?
I don't know.
I thought I kind of heard something like that. I think Clemson hadn't lost a game at home in 2.5 years now. They won all their games last year at home and this year, last year and the year before.
I think it's Florida State. I think they have I'd have to double check. I just read that stat the other day. I can't remember the number. It's pretty big, though. I want to say it's 59 games, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
Well, guess what? This year they'll have a loss.
I hear you. I hear you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see if I can dig that up. I just read it the other day during something that I was looking at. I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. Florida State's home winning streak right now. I want to say it's at 50-something. All right, here's an article in Macon. Florida State football topped the longest home winning streak. Let's see. They've played 54 consecutive games without a loss at home. 54 consecutive games without a loss at Doak Campbell Stadium. That's a heck of a streak, man. 54 straight. Woo. Hard to believe, but yeah, unbeaten. Taking a look to see 54 consecutive. I don't know. Maybe that's what it says right here. I'm just taking it for what this says. I thought it was in the 50s, so I'll go with that. That's one source. Don't they say you should always use 2 sources? So maybe I'll double check. I'll try to get another source real quick here. Seminoles.com. That's Florida State's official site. No, that's an old article. That doesn't help me out at all. Thank you very much, Seminoles.com, for sending me to an article from 1999. That's not what I'm looking for. That doesn't help at all. 803-978-1832. I do think it's 54. If you got that information or you can find it faster than me, sometimes it's hard to talk and look things up. But, yeah, I want to say it's 54 games right now. That feels right based on what I read the other day. And that's impressive. I mean, that is completely impressive. No, 92 to 2001 was when they had that 54 consecutive game streak. So now I really got to dig. You know what the good news is? I got a break coming up here in 20-something seconds. And then I can jump in on it and figure out the exact number of how many they've won in a row. It's been a lot. 803-978-1832 if you know that number, or you can tweet it to us. The hashtag CST show. I can't even remember. What's funny about it is, even though I read it, I can't even remember where I read it or what I was reading about it. But I will try to find it here at the break. Stay with us.
How would you like to get up in the morning and walk into your kitchen or bathroom and that immediately starts your day off right? Or maybe you've come home from work to a kitchen or a bathroom that ends your day in perfection. This is possible. I'm Terry Nation, owner of Nation Custom Builders, and I can take all those ideas you've had and make them come to life. Pure perfection. Let's go over those ideas and dreams you've had for free. No complication, no frustration, no aggravation. You're backed by a Nation. Give us a call, 807-8140.
Attention, anyone who's suffering from lower back pain. Right now, HealthSource is offering our listeners an absolutely free back pain consultation on a first-come, first-served basis by calling 803-218-9047. Our doctors can find the root cause of your lower back pain and show you how to get well fast and stay well longer. No more pain. No more feeling worn out. Essentially, no more not feeling like yourself. Call 803-218-9047.
If you're searching for an amazing dental home, you should try Cottingham Family Dentistry. They're accepting new patients at their 6420 Garners Ferry Road office. Edith says when she visits Dr. Cottingham, she knows that she'll be well taken care of, whether it's a scheduled appointment or an emergency visit. Bob writes that his wife is recovering from a stroke and not very mobile. At her appointment, the treatment and consideration she received was outstanding from the hygienist and Dr. Cottingham. Call Cottingham Family Dentistry at 776-4234.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
All right, so it didn't take me long to find it, but I did find it. The Florida State Seminoles' last loss at home, or at least their winning streak at home, 21 games right now. The longest ever for them is 54. And that was the number I was thinking. So maybe I had read something about their longest winning streak. So they're at 21 games right now at home. I was trying to actually take a look back and see what the last loss for Florida State at home was. I don't remember it right offhand. Again, much like I've said before, am not Gamecock Google. I am certainly not FSU Google either. I know it wasn't in 2013 or 2014 because they went undefeated in 2013, and in 2014 they only lost one game, the Florida State Seminoles, there in the national semifinal against Oregon. So it may have come potentially in that 2012 season. Yeah, they got beat by Florida 37-26 in November of 2012. So 37-26. That was their last home loss, November 24th, 2012. And they've won 21 straight at home since that time. So, yeah, that would be it. 803-978-1832. Appreciate the phone call and the conversation there, taking a look at Florida State and their home winning streak. You know, Clemson's Wayne Gallman, we've talked about him quite a bit here on the program. Earlier today it was announced that Wayne Gallman was one of the preseason candidates, for the Doak Walker watch list. Wayne Gallman's been named to the watch list for the 2016 Doak Walker Award presented to the nation's best college running back. What is impressive, though, about Wayne Gallman is that he's fairly, I think, undervalued by a lot of people and underappreciated by a lot of people. So much so that there was actually an article about this that I read earlier today, you know, just kind of talking about the fact that, you know, here's a kid in Wayne Gallman who many people still don't know his name. When you look at the rankings of the top running backs in the ACC, Everybody's going to go with Dalvin Cook number 1. You're going to have Elijah Hood in there as well. And, you start drifting down the list. You get a James Conner. You get Matt Days. Over and over, a name that's left out quite frequently from conversations is Wayne Gallman. And maybe that speaks more about the ACC's running back situation perhaps than even Wayne Gallman. Taking a look here, I got a text message. Just want to break this to you here. Taking a look, CNN is reporting 73 individuals dead after a truck ran through a crowd in France. Currently I believe they're trying to figure out if this is terroristic in nature. Just got a text message about it. Want to break that news to you again. Officials say 73 dead after a truck plows into a crowd in France. So I'll be trying to follow that news as well, and I've got it on CNN here in studio, and I will do my best to give you an update, give you any update on that. I also got a text message via the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line asking how many straight home games has Clemson won. I believe the last loss at home for Clemson was the shellacking that the Tigers took at the hands of Florida State back in 2013. That's the one that sticks out to me. I would need to go back and take a look at it. But that's the one that sort of jumps off, and no wonder it jumps off. Clemson was obliterated that night by Jameis Winston and the Seminoles. Not exactly what you call fun. So I'd have to go back and add that up to give you the exact number on that one. Chat room, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Text line brought to you by the Caribbean Resort and Villas. Thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out in France as there's some breaking news of 73 people apparently being killed. Police found explosives, firearms in a truck. So that's some information coming to us here on the program as we speak. We do our best here to talk sports, but we also have an obligation here at Fox Sports and also the rest of the iHeart media family to keep you updated on the events transpiring across the globe. And according to French TV, police found explosives, firearms in a truck, and 73 individuals were killed in France earlier today. 803-978-1832 is your number. Chat room is ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Text line brought to you by the Caribbean Resort and Villas. And I'll try to get that number about Clemson's home winning streak here momentarily. But Wayne Gallman, again, just sort of an undervalued, underappreciated, and I think maybe even somewhat driven by that. Even coming out of high school, you'll recall playing football alongside Robert Kendiche was just not really the focus of recruiting. As a matter of fact, his commitment to Clemson, in a lot of ways, virtually, I would say to a lot of you, an unimportant pickup. Trended maybe even more so towards a linebacker at the beginning of his career, but found a way to really become a solid asset to this offense. And if you just go back and look at the season, and again, while getting to play in more games, 15 games, but breaking the single-season rushing mark with 1,527 yards, 13 touchdowns, carrying the ball nearly 300 times with 283 carries, averaging nearly 5.5 yards per carry. You know, the thing you can say about this in terms of what Wayne Gallman gives you is the heart that is just unmeasurable. I mean, it's something that you can't account for, and I think it's something that makes great running backs great. And that is, you have to have a different mindset. You have to be a different dude in between your ears to be a stud running back. Now, you can get by with sheer athleticism, and you can get by with a lot of work ethic. But you've got to have it between your ears to hit a hole at full speed and be willing to basically sacrifice yourself for the betterment of the team. Some guys like Wayne Gallman, some guys like James Davis, some guys like Raymond Priester, some guys have it. And some guys don't have it. You know what? They still make it to the NFL. Jamie Harper, I'm looking at you, buddy. Harper, if he ran the way that Priester and James Davis and Wayne Gallman ran collegiately, would have been, I think, a star. But he was twinkle toes at the line of scrimmage. And a pretty big surprise for me that he did make it to the NFL, considering what I would call a lack of production at Clemson. Left me wanting virtually every time he carried the ball. Never had a moment where I thought to myself, you know what, that kid's giving me everything he's got. I don't know that there's been a moment that Gallman's carried the ball where I thought, you know what, he didn't give me everything he's got. And that's a difference maker. He's underappreciated. He's undervalued. I think that drives the man, and I look forward to seeing what number 9 has to bring to the table for your Clemson Tigers this season. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Radio. We'll come back with the Pro Tour.
Calling all brides. You've got the ring. Now what? Plan your dream wedding at the Carolina Bridal Showcase, Sunday, July 17th. Find everything for your wedding under one roof in just one afternoon. The best wedding pros, food, drinks, fun, selfie stations, prizes, and giveaways, and so much more. Sponsored by Carolina Bride Magazine, American Floral, Hilton Columbia Center, Columbia Bridal Associates, Costco Productions, and iHeart Media. Tickets on sale now at bridecityshows.com. That's bridecityshows.com.
Our customers receive the best heating and air conditioning service in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Tim Mosley, and I can make that statement because that's what our customers tell us every day. We call it Quality Confirmed. Call us at 803-233-7172, and we'll call you when the job is done to confirm we met your expectations. That's Quality Confirmed. We're Carolina Conditions, and we're committed to meeting your expectations. 803-233-7172. Call us at 803-233-7172.
Love it raw? For the freshest sushi in town, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, 807 Gervais Street in the Vista. Sakatumi's flavorful grill for non-sushi fans features the Kobe burger, filet and lobster, chicken hibachi, and more fresh sushi flavorful grill. Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, fresh.com.
The most valuable thing we have in life is time. You can't get it back. Save your time to do something for your car with a basic interior, exterior, mobile works, auto detailing. Keep your car looking sharp with several packages featuring everything from basic wash and vacuum to the works, which includes seat cleaning and headlight restoration. Save your time and still have a sharp car. Call Mobile Works Auto Detailing today at 743-8867 or online at mobileworksautodetailing.com.
Tonight will stay warm after the few storms die off. Temperatures will drop only to the mid to upper 70s. Tomorrow, sunny and hot. Afternoon highs around 100 degrees. And again, a few scattered late storms. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by Fred Anderson Toyota.
It's the Big One sales event at Fred Anderson Toyota of Columbia. Get 0 APR for up to 72 months on select new Toyotas. Plus our family plan. Fred Anderson Toyota of Columbia.
Excludes TTL and includes $207 closing dealer approved based on $13.89 per thousand finance in 731.16.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May.
803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. Follow the program at Clemson Sports, updating you here on what we know out of France. Officials say 73 are dead after a truck plows into a crowd, apparently celebrating Bastille Day. Trying to figure out still, the driver of the vehicle was killed by authorities on the scene, according to reports. Still trying to figure out all the ins and the outs of what's going on there. I've seen speculation that it's terroristic in nature. One would believe that, I think, based on what happened, unless it was just a runaway vehicle. I have no idea, but it doesn't sound like it, considering that the individual driving the truck was killed. Possibly more than 100 people injured in France. So thoughts and prayers to all those involved in that, and I will do my best to keep you informed as news breaks here on that front. I believe Clemson now riding a 16-game home winning streak dating back to the loss against Florida State. So I believe it is a 16-game home winning streak now for the Clemson Tigers. That's the longest home winning streak, I believe, in Clemson history, if my memory serves me correctly. The Tigers tied the longest home winning streak at 13 with a victory over Georgia Tech this past season. Then the Tigers beat Boston College. They also beat Florida State and Syracuse at home, which I think put it at 16. So that's where I think that number is right now, just coming to you here off the top of my head. In the Pro Tour tonight, interesting thing. I hadn't talked about this at all, and I know we're several days removed from some of the bad stuff that's going on here in the United States of America in terms of police and the violence that's taken place with police officers being shot in Dallas and individuals being shot by police officers, et cetera, et cetera. But I did see an interesting note on WIS that said a Richland County EMS, they fired a paramedic and I believe a couple of firefighters also, if I remember correctly, from the article yesterday, were also fired for posting some things to social media that were inappropriate, insensitive, racially motivated, whatever the circumstances are or were. But then you also had Cleveland Browns running back Isaiah Crowell post a photo to social media, and he deleted it pretty quickly, as well he should have, because it was, you might remember Crowell from his time as a running back at Georgia. He's now a running back with the Cleveland Browns. And he has since pledged his first game check will be donated to the Dallas Police Organization for the Fallen Officers Foundation. A game check for Isaiah Crowell is worth $35,294. I'm betting that's more money than the EMS and the firemen who were fired for some racially driven posts making a year. But I'll be shocked if Crowell doesn't get suspended, and I haven't seen anything on this lately, and I know he wants it to go away as quickly as possible. But he actually tweeted out a photo of an individual in a mask with a machete at the knife of a police officer's throat. Now, this was a drawing, and there was actually blood coming out of the police officer's throat. This is Isaiah Crowell, Cleveland Browns running back, with one of the more despicable posts I've seen in terms of the confrontations that our nation's having in some ways in terms of police and race relations, etc. If the city of Columbia and Richland County, maybe even more specifically, is willing to suspend and fire individuals for posts on Facebook, and rightfully so. It's one of the reasons that I am very cautious with anything I put out on social media, as I've told you before. But it sure seems like the NFL and Roger Goodell should probably not only have Crowell donate that money, but I would think a suspension's got to be coming. You can't tweet a picture, even a drawing, of a police officer being killed if you play in the NFL and just expect to have that go unnoticed. Staying in the NFL here in the Pro Tour tonight, how about Nuke Hopkins and Sammy Watkins being featured in an Adidas ad? I saw where former Clemson Tigers star Brian Dawkins tweeted out a picture from a store with those two guys on the advertisement, side by side, a couple of Clemson Tigers together. You know, when Nuke Hopkins got his deal with Adidas, I didn't make the connection that there would be a situation where, with Sammy having a contract with Adidas, that those two guys would be featured together in an advertisement. But if you're looking at a reason that maybe you had a guy like T. Higgins out of the state of Tennessee commit to Clemson, there's part of your hashtag wide receiver you coming to the forefront there in the advertising campaign. Also from the NBA, well, I should say also from former Clemson Tiger athletes, this time in the NBA, Trevor Booker. You know, we had some conversations about the NBA and more specifically some of the deals that have gone on, some of the bigger deals, like the one that sort of made, I think, the Golden State Warriors go from everybody's favorite squad to everybody's most hated squad. And it's pretty crazy because even a guy like Kevin Durant, who left Oklahoma City to go to Golden State's never been a bad guy to anybody, but now they're all together and it's like the evil empire, and people kind of see them that way. One of the moves we didn't talk to you about was the former Clemson Tiger star power forward Trevor Booker. Big Booker out of Whitmire, South Carolina, went to Union County High School. Trevor Booker leaving the Jazz to go to the Brooklyn Nets after agreeing to a 2-year contract worth $18 million, so about $9 million a year for Trevor Booker. Booker averaged 5.9 points and 5.7 rebounds per game last season. Get your kids a basketball, ladies and gentlemen. Have them hooping it up, because if averaging 6 points, well, less than 6 points and less than 6 rebounds a game can get you $9 million a year, I should have invested myself a little bit more in the basketball perhaps than I did. I love the game. I don't know that I could get 5.9 and 5.7 in the NBA. I might could squeeze 2.3 and 2. Would that be worth about $4.5 million a year? Probably so. I think I could get 2.3 points per game in an NBA season and 2 rebounds a game. Even at 39. I'm older than Kobe Bryant. I think I could pull that off. 803-978-1832. We're back with the College Sports Corner, brought to you by our good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac right after this.
When a stroke happens, every second counts. So don't drive and call 911 to get to the emergency department as soon as possible. At Lexington Medical Center, we're pleased to serve our community. As a certified primary stroke center, our acute stroke team rapidly evaluates patients and provides them with the fastest treatment possible. This specialized care limits the chance of brain damage and gives stroke patients a better chance of full recovery. Act quickly at the first sign of a stroke and count on the Stroke Center at Lexington Medical Center to provide you with the best possible care.
Do you need lodging for your next Tigers game? To get a real game day experience, skip the hotel and stay close to campus in one of Rent Like a Champion's comfortable vacation homes. You can call Rent Like a Champion, a Mark Cuban company featured on ABC's Shark Tank, at 855-BIG-GAME to set up your weekend lodging today.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
ADT presents What to Consider When Considering Home Security. An ADT sign is more than a sign. It's a line in the sand. On one side, your family. On the other, an uncertain world.
For over 140 years, more people have chosen ADT to help prevent crime than anyone else. Get ADT starting at just $28.99 a month.
Tested, trusted, proven ADT.
With 36-month contract for licensing and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
For more information about contests on this station, go to foxsportsradio1400.com/rules. Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Shaking the Southland weeknights, Fox Sports Radio 1400, the iHeart Radio application. Free to download the Clemson Sports Talk app, free, and ride the wave with us, WAVVE. You'll want to get that app on your phone right now. Reynolds in the mornings got it hooked up as well. You can chat with him there live. You can drop voice messages in. We'll put them on the show. We'll make sure you're a part of it here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, so we were talking earlier about Chad Kelly before we dive into the College Sports Corner. I got another text message via the Caribbean Resort and Villas text line. The one question that came in about saying, Swanee, you didn't answer the question. Kelly's 2-0 versus Alabama. Do you think you beat Alabama in the national title game with Chad Kelly? I said no. I think the results would have been about the same. The rebuttal comes through. So the rest of the Ole Miss team is better than the rest of Clemson's team? I don't think so. But, I mean, I can't explain it. You know, you go back. We got the fourth quarter coming up tomorrow here, the third annual Swanee Awards. We'll take a look at that fourth quarter. I'll tell you exactly what happened. I think Clemson just had some breakdowns defensively in coverage against O.J. Howard that really cost them. Got another little hashtag cockadoodle boom there. So, well played. I mean, listen, in the game of chess, you got to think a couple of moves ahead, and clearly you were. I have been outdone here on the airwaves tonight. Touché, salesman. Well played. 803-978-1832. You know, I was just down there a couple of days ago. Actually going to be swinging by there on Saturday morning as well. My good friends down at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. They got me in a new ride. They'll get you in a new ride. No tricks, no dock fees. Fantastic, man. They sponsor the text line. They sponsor the College Sports Corner here on Fox Sports Radio, Clemson Sports Talk.
Clemson Sports Talk presents the College Sports Corner, brought to you by Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. Just a short drive down I-26 at exit 145A in Orangeburg. Now, CST reporter Lawton Swan.
Oh, yeah, in the College Sports Corner tonight, we dive into a couple of different topics. First and foremost, yesterday, the heated conversation between Nick Saban and Paul Feinbaum led you to believe that Nick Saban, when he insinuated that why do you think only the football players were arrested, might make you think that maybe police officials in Louisiana were out to get a couple of Alabama guys. Well, the Monroe Police Department shot back and refuted any allegations of bias. Police chief, or the police information officer, Chris Bates, saying, I can tell you for a fact that the first officer on the scene was not an LSU fan. He hates LSU. He doesn't like the color yellow or purple and gold. In fact, he's a Florida fan. If you mention LSU around him, he throws up in his mouth. Most of our officers are LSU fans. But we have some who are Arkansas fans, Georgia fans, and Alabama fans. And I'll tell you this, the first officer did not even know those guys were football players. I got to admit this, when I read that, I thought, what an idiotic thing for a police information officer to put out there, or public information officer to put out there. Who cares who these guys pull for? Police are doing their job. Like, when you have to come out and say it, the first officer on the scene was not even an LSU fan. He graduated from Auburn. What? Then he throws a Florida fan, and I go, so, okay. So what I'm supposed to assume here for a minute, as idiotic as this argument is, and this conversation is, that everything was done justly simply because this guy had nothing to do with LSU. He's a Florida guy. As if a Florida fan wouldn't be happy enough to throw a couple of Alabama guys in the hooscow for a little marijuana and some and a gun possession. What? Where these guys went to school should have nothing to do with it. And for the Monroe Police Department to even address this as if that was the insinuation, because I didn't even get that as the insinuation when Nick Saban said that about why do you think those two guys were arrested. I just took it as, well, they got arrested because they're high-profile guys. Not LSU police were on the scene or LSU fans were police on the scene. Okay? So let me make that clear. I thought it was dumb for the Louisiana Monroe Police Department to put out anything in the first place. Also in the College Sports Corner tonight, speaking of run-ins with the police, sophomore lineman for South Carolina, Christian Pellage, was charged with DUI recently. Pellage has been indefinitely suspended and will miss at least one game for being charged with DUI on Friday. Kudos to Will Muschamp for suspending a player for an arrest. Gus Malzahn, we're looking at you. Nick Saban, we're looking at you. You know, I'm going to give Will Muschamp credit here because every single coach at the SEC this week that I've heard has protected their players and allowed them to be arrested or punch women in the face with no repercussions other than, we're handling it internally. Well, thank you, Will Muschamp. Boom. For doing the right thing here. You know, I've had a lot of pride in Clemson in the job that Dabo Swinney does in disciplining players. And we mentioned yesterday sending home a star wide receiver from the national semifinal and then also suspending him from the national championship game and the spring without an arrest. Okay, without an arrest. But yet, for some teams, winning games is a bigger deal. And it begs the question, too, if these guys weren't five-star players or starters, etc., would they have the same leeway? Do you think Mississippi State would keep around a two-star guy that was caught on video punching a girl in the street? You think Dan Mullen would embrace him and he's part of the family, we're going to make a difference in his life? Or do you think they'd cut bait as quickly as possible? I'll let you figure that out on your own. A little homework for you here on the program. And finally tonight here on Clemson Sports Talk, One season in, he brings home an Atlantic Coast Conference title, the first in 10 years for Clemson Tiger baseball. Monty Lee and his coaching staff received new contracts today. They finished with 44 wins this past season, the first ACC title in an NCAA national seed in a decade, the first home regional since 2011. The Board of Trustees Compensation Committee approved Thursday morning new contracts for Coach Monty Lee and his staff. So congratulations to Coach Lee and the guys for earning new contracts. Lee had a 6-year, $2.75 million contract extended through 2022. That's what I'm talking about, boss man. Anybody willing to extend me that kind of contract, I will take it. Again, in the NBA, I'm happy to give you 2.3 points per game and about 2 boards per game. That's probably right on par. But no, he's been a great part of this program since joining Clemson University. That is Monty Lee, and again, getting a new contract for he and his assistants earlier today, and well-deserved. That is all the time we've got for tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. Looking forward to the Friday edition. Don't forget the 3rd annual Swanee Awards. Put on your suits, ladies and gentlemen. Tux it up a little bit. It's going to be a fancy day here tomorrow. As always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
Calling all brides. You've got the ring. Now what? Plan your dream wedding at the Carolina Bridal Showcase, Sunday, July 17th. Find everything for your wedding under one roof in just one afternoon. The best wedding pros, food, drinks, fun, selfie stations, prizes and giveaways, and so much more. Sponsored by Carolina Bride Magazine, American Floral, Hilton Columbia Center, Columbia Bridal Association.